I am Rabbi Miriam Goldstein. I am 60 years old, and I need to tell you something that Jewish mothers have known for centuries, something they taught in kitchens, in whispers, over Shabbat tables, that most people alive today have never heard. There is one account that our tradition says you must never let your money sit in. Not a savings account, not a checking account, something far more common, far more dangerous. And the Torah tells us exactly why. Most people reading this are sitting in that account right now, today, and they do not even know it. I am going to show you what it is. I am going to show you what it costs you. And I am going to show you the way out. But first, go to the comments right now and type the words, "I accept my wealth." Because what you are about to hear is not just a teaching. It is an invitation, and declaring it before you receive it is part of how this works. Go ahead, then come back. I have been a rabbi for over 30 years. I have sat with families at the best moments of their lives and the worst. I have watched people build real, lasting wealth. And I have watched people work themselves into the ground and end up with almost nothing to show for it. And over all those years, I noticed something, a pattern, a specific mistake that good, hard-working, honest people make over and over again. And the Torah, the very text that Jewish families have lived by for 3,000 years, addresses this mistake directly, not in code, not in parable, plainly, but nobody translates it that way. Nobody explains what it means for your money. Today I am going to. Let me ask you something honest. Have you ever felt like your money disappears before you understand where it went? You earn it on Friday. By Wednesday, it feels thin. You have no wild habits. You are not reckless. You are not foolish. You are just stuck. And you look around at other families that do not seem to be working any harder than you, and they are building something. They own things. They are not anxious every time an unexpected bill arrives. What do they know that you do not? I have seen this question on the faces of so many people who have come to me over the years. A woman I will call Naomi came to see me about 12 years ago. She was in her early 40s. She worked in hospital administration, responsible, organized, detail-oriented. She managed other people's budgets at work with precision, but her own finances were a source of constant shame and confusion. She told me, "Rabbi, I cannot explain it. I make decent money, I track everything, and still I feel like I am standing at a drain." She was not in terrible debt. She had some savings, but she felt like she was going nowhere, like something was slowly pulling everything she built back down. And I looked at her and I said, "Naomi, I think I know what the problem is. You are keeping your money in the wrong account." She looked at me like I was speaking a different language. I was. Let me tell you what that account is. In Hebrew, we have a word, stagnation. Not the English concept of it, the Torah's concept of it. In Proverbs 11:24, it says something that most translations soften into meaninglessness. The literal text says, "There is one who scatters and yet increases, and there is one who withholds more than is right, and it leads only to poverty." Read that again. Withholds more than is right, leads only to poverty. This is the account I am talking about. It is not a bank. It is a posture. It is the habit of holding money too tightly, of keeping it still, of treating money as something to guard rather than something to move. Here is the thing. The modern financial system tells you to accumulate, save more, spend less, hold on, protect. And there is wisdom in saving, yes, but our tradition teaches something far more nuanced. Money, in Torah thought, is not a possession, it is a flow. And when you stop the flow, when you hoard, when you stagnate, when you let money sit in fear instead of moving it with intention, you do not protect it, you kill it. The Talmud in Tractate Ta'anit teaches that the world was created to sustain those who give, not those who accumulate, not those who simply save, those who give. This teaching is not a metaphor. The rabbis were describing a financial principle embedded in the structure of creation itself. And I have watched it play out in real families for 30 years, and I can tell you they were right. Before I go any further, I want you to stop for just a moment. If this is already making sense to you, if something in you recognized what I just described, go to the comments right now and type, "I accept my wealth." Do not wait until the end. Do it now, because declaring where you are going is part of how you get there. That is not motivational language. That is Torah. The spoken word has power. Use it. Now let me show you exactly what this looks like in practice, because this is where most people miss it. There is a woman in our community. I have known her for over 20 years. I will call her Leah. Leah is a widow. She raised 3 children, mostly on her own, after her husband passed, when the children were still young. She worked as a bookkeeper. She was not wealthy. She never made an extraordinary salary, and for most of her adult life, she was afraid. Afraid of not having enough. Afraid the floor would fall out. So Leah did what fear tells you to do. She held on. She rarely gave to tzedakah. When she did give, she gave small amounts and felt guilty about them afterward. She did not invest because investing felt like risking losing what little she had. She kept her money in a low-interest savings account and told herself she was being responsible. And the money sat there, and it sat there, and it barely moved. Meanwhile, inflation moved, life moved, her children needed things, the car needed things, and that account that felt like safety was actually shrinking in real terms year by year, even when the number on the paper stayed the same. By the time her youngest left for college, Leah had less real purchasing power than she had the decade before. She had not spent recklessly. She had not been careless. She had simply kept her money in the wrong account, the account of fear, the account of withholding more than was right. I sat with her one evening and I showed her Proverbs 11:24, and I watched her face change. She said, "I thought I was being careful." I said, "You were, but careful is not the same as wise. Careful protects you from a tiger that is not in the room. Wisdom sees what is actually there." Here is what I want you to understand. Jewish mothers, the ones who built lasting financial legacies for their families, they understood something that the modern banking system actively works against you knowing. They understood that money must circulate, that holding it still is not safety, that giving, investing, moving money with intention is the only way it actually grows. Not just grows financially, grows in meaning, grows in return, grows in ways that compound across generations. The account you must never let your money sit in is the account of fear-based stagnation. It looks like a savings account with no strategy behind it. It looks like money held back from giving because you do not feel like you have enough. It looks like investments never made because the risk feels too large. It looks like the paralysis that comes when you believe protecting what you have is the same as building what you need. And the Torah has a name for the alternative. It is called tzedakah, which most people translate as charity. But that translation loses almost everything. The root of the word tzedakah is tzedek, which means righteousness, justice, right order. In Jewish thought, giving is not generosity. It is not going above and beyond. It is simply doing what is correct. It is aligning yourself with how the world was designed to work. The Talmud in Tractate Shabbat says that giving tzedakah is equivalent to all the other commandments combined. That is not hyperbole. That is the rabbis telling you that generosity is the architecture of a functioning life, of a functioning financial life. Now, I know what you are thinking. Rabbi, this sounds beautiful, but I barely have enough. How can I give when I am struggling? And I want to meet you exactly there, because that is the real teaching. The teaching is not for people who have already arrived. It is for people who are still on the way. There is a story in our tradition, and I do not mean a fable. This is a story I believe with everything in me. In Genesis 28:22, Jacob is not in a comfortable situation. He is not building from a place of security. He is sleeping on bare ground. He is running from his brother. He has a stone for a pillow. He has nothing in the material sense of the word. And in that moment, in the most uncertain moment of his life, he makes a vow to God. He says, "Of all that you give me, I will surely give 1/10 to you." He does not say, "When things get better, I will give." He does not say, "When I feel secure, I will give." He gives the commitment first. He activates the flow before the water even begins. And you know what happened next. Jacob became one of the most prosperous men in the ancient world. Not because of luck, not because of inheritance, because he understood that abundance does not precede giving. Giving precedes abundance. The giving opens the channel. The Zohar, the central text of Jewish mystical thought, calls this the tzinor, the pipeline. When you give with intention, you are not losing money. You are opening a pipeline through which blessing returns. This is what Leah did not understand for almost 2 decades, and when she finally understood it, she changed. Slowly, carefully, because that was her nature. But she changed. She began giving, not a lot, a small amount each month to causes she believed in. She opened a modest investment account, not glamorous, not complicated. She began moving her money with intention instead of holding it still in terror. And within 3 years, something had shifted, not just in her finances, in her posture, in how she walked into a room. She told me, "I feel like I stopped being afraid of money and started being in charge of it." That is the moment the Torah describes. That is what Proverbs 11:24 is pointing toward. You scatter, and yet you increase. Because scattering, giving, moving, investing with wisdom is not the opposite of accumulation. It is the mechanism of accumulation. Now let me bring this down to the practical, because I know many of you watching right now are not in a place of abundance. You are in a place of effort. You are showing up every day, working hard, and still feeling like you are swimming upstream. And I want to say something directly to you. It is not your fault you were not taught this. The financial system is not designed to teach you that generosity is a financial strategy. Banks do not benefit when you give freely. Financial institutions do not grow when you move money with wisdom rather than fear. The entire modern banking model is built on the idea that you should accumulate, borrow, pay interest, and be grateful for the privilege. That model keeps you in debt and keeps your money in their hands, not building a legacy in yours. The Torah model is different. It says your money has a purpose beyond sitting in an account. It says you are not just a holder of money, you are a steward of it. And a steward's job is not to keep things still. A steward's job is to put things to their highest use. Here is what I want you to do. Starting this week, not someday, this week, First, look at how you think about money right now. Is it a tool you direct, or is it something you are afraid to move? Fear-based holding is the wrong account. Name it. Recognize it. Second, find a way to give, even a small amount. Before you pay anything else, before you budget anything else, set aside something, even if it is $20, and give it to someone who needs it or a cause that matters. This is not about the amount. This is about the posture. You are telling the universe, you are telling God, you are telling yourself that you are not operating from scarcity. You are operating from abundance. And abundance, as Jacob knew on that rocky ground, is a decision before it is a reality. Third, move your money with intention. A savings account with no strategy is not safety. It is the account I told you to avoid. Think about what your money could be doing. Where could it be growing? Where could it be producing? You do not have to be a financial expert to ask this question. You just have to stop pretending that stillness is safety. The families I have watched build real generational wealth, not inherited wealth, not lucky wealth, wealth built across decades of consistent, principled effort. Those families gave first. They invested consistently. They treated money as a river, not a reservoir. Because a reservoir that does not flow becomes stagnant, and stagnant water does not sustain life. It just holds it in place until something comes along and empties it. The Torah knew this. Jewish mothers taught this at their kitchen tables, and today I am teaching it to you. There is a passage in Deuteronomy 8:18 that says, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." I love this verse, not because it is a prosperity promise, because it is a reminder of something we forget when we are afraid. The ability, not the wealth itself, the ability. That ability is already in you. What blocks it is not lack of skill or lack of opportunity. What blocks it is the fear that keeps your money still and your mind closed. The women in our tradition who built the most, the ones like the woman described in Proverbs 31, who considers a field and buys it, who plants from the work of her hands, who opens her hand to the poor, who is not afraid of the future. Those women were not operating from fear. They were operating from a deep-rooted trust that moving money wisely, giving generously, and building with intention was not risk. It was alignment. If what I have shared today touched something in you, I want you to do something right now. Go to the comments and type the words, "I accept my wealth." Say it, declare it, because when you write it down, something shifts. It becomes a commitment you have made not just to this video, but to yourself and to your future. Then subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because every week I bring teachings like this one, ancient wisdom translated into the financial reality you are actually living. If this video found you at the right moment, there are others waiting for you here that will meet you exactly where you are. Leave me a comment after you type your declaration. Tell me, is there an area of your financial life right now where you know you have been holding on from fear instead of moving with wisdom? Tell me what it is. I read these. Your words matter to me. Hit the like button if this teaching landed for you. It tells me to keep going. It tells me this work is reaching people who need it. And please, think of one person in your life who is working hard and still feeling stuck. Someone who has never heard this perspective on money. Share this video with them. You might be the one who changes their direction. Sometimes one teaching at the right moment redirects the course of everything. If you have a story of your own, a moment when you realized you were in the wrong account, financially or otherwise, there is a form in the description below. Fill it out, share it. This channel is built on real stories from real people, and yours deserves to be told. There is a blessing we say in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham. Blessed are you, Lord, shield of Abraham. The same God who prospered Jacob on that rocky ground is the same God who sees you right now, right where you are, in whatever season you are in. He is not waiting for your finances to be perfect before He moves. He is waiting for you to stop holding so tightly that there is no room for the blessing to land. Move your money. Give first. Trust the flow. And watch what happens next.